Hi, glad you could join us. Today we're going a little Hollywood with a veteran director and the head of Cramer Motion Studios, Scott Palmer. When you think about it, a virtual event is a lot like a TV show. And your audience is going to expect a little extra polish on those presentations. And Scott is just the guy to get you camera ready. Let's check it out. Hey Scott, how are you?
Good, Ashley. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, my first question for you, Scott, is we've all at some point been asked to video ourselves, and sometimes it definitely goes better than other times. So, what are some best practices when presenting on camera?
That's a good question, Ashley. And, I'm a little bit empathetic because normally I'm in a studio and we've got all sorts of gear and everything's very controlled. So this lack of control uh, is really not in my comfort zone. So what I would say to folks at home is uh, you're kind of in charge of your own setup now. So you are essentially the camera person, you're the gaffer, you're the sound engineer, and your hair and makeup if someone's willing to do that for you. Um, but most importantly, I think is finding a place where you're comfortable, where you're not going to get interrupted. Most of us don't have home studios. We don't have panic rooms. We're essentially at the mercy of our families and roommates cooperating with us. So I say, ask, let people know, schedule a time, and have that sort of blocked out and scheduled. Make yourself comfortable. On the production side of things, I think we're also kind of stuck with what we have, and most of us have laptops with built-in webcams, which I think is great because if you have a laptop from the last couple of years, it's going to be perfectly fine. On the sound side, built-in microphones, typically great too. For lighting essentially the most important thing I think is like don't get in front of a window, but where you can use natural light. You want the background to be as even as possible. It's not going to be perfect, but you definitely want to limit distractions. I think if you're in front of a window, things can happen. The light can change. The sun can go in and out of clouds and things like that. So it's all about controlling what you can control. On the camera side, it's ideally if you can get your laptop up to eye level, where your webcam's at eye level and you're looking directly into it, having a conversation, I think that's the best way to go.
And I think too, rehearsing everything makes that a little bit easier and rehearsing with people.
It's a great way not to start cold. So if you've never met the person before, you get to know them. Normally we would have done that on the phone. I think now it's even better where people are getting used to using webcams to have that conversation in advance of the taping, depending on your schedule. But if you could do it the day before, that's great. Get comfortable, talk to the person, get to know them, make them comfortable. And you get prepared with the technology part too. So I think it's not only rehearsing the technical side of things, it's also rehearsing the act of conversing with somebody and in this unnatural way.
Yeah, Scott, absolutely. And I think too that presenting via your laptop in your home is going to be a very different experience than presenting to a room filled of thousands of people. So, what is some advice that we can offer these speakers who are now presenting virtually?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Well, I think what's the most interesting is that you don't really have that real-time feedback. So if you're used to presenting in front of a group of people, you sort of feed off their energy. And I think you have to understand that because you don't have that, you have to sort of readjust the way you present. You're presenting to in a very intimate format, you know? So you're not up on a stage in a wide shot in front of a big audience. You're in a fixed location on a webcam. So it's really sort of like this shot right here, which I would call a medium close up. So sort of head and shoulders up. The other thing is you don't have to shout. It's more conversational, like we're having a conversation right now. Things like humor, it's great to be able to use humor, but you're not going to get that response. So if you tell a joke, you don't know if it's going over well or not. right? You're not getting the feedback loop. So there are just a few simple things like that.
Thanks, Scott. This has been a great conversation, and I know that I will take some of your tips and apply them to maybe some more Kramer on Demand episodes.
You got it, Ashley. It was my pleasure.
From someone who's usually behind the scenes, I know being in front of the camera can be very intimidating at first, but with a little bit of practice, you'll make it look easy. For more tips and tricks, head on over to Cramer.com. Oh, and don't forget to join us for our final episode of this 6-part series on virtual events. We'll be speaking with Angel Miccarelli, Cramer's Senior Vice President of Strategy and Content, to talk about how content marketing can keep your audiences engaged long after the event is over. See you next time.